Five.
News team, assemble.
Hopefully that's the first thing they hear. So.
This news team assemble?
Yeah. Okay.
Lisa, Periscope broke. Oh, Periscope is ready? No, Periscope broke. Are you?
Sorry.
I don't know if she's plugged in.
No, she's not.
I'm making a noise. It's universal and coordinated. What do you know? Also, I'm going to turn my audio on my laptop off.
Yeah. That might be a thing. We might be a titch late today, just so you know.
Periscope broke. I'm not sure how to fix that.
Down Periscope.
I've never streamed on Periscope.
That's a different thing.
So.
Just FYI.
These are 3/4 ahead at 10 fandoms, right? Is that how it goes? Or how was it back in the day?
Fandoms?
Phantoms.
Fathoms?
Fathoms, yes. Don't mind me this morning. My mind is just like. Oh my God.
Wow. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, man.
Especially with as complicated as my space pod is later today. So, oh my God.
Which we might have to do after science, depending on how long space goes.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay,
that makes no
cool.
difference to me. I'll just let me do that. So.
Jared, what does the A stand for on your T-shirt?
Oh, it's for the Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of L.A. County of Southern California.
They do have a really long name for like no good reason.
The baseball team down here in Orange County, and I like them a lot. Also, because I worked for them in their coaches video division for 4 years.
You know they're nowhere near Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, but I do want to point out.
Yeah, but isn't that their name anymore?
I do want to
No, I'm
point.
serious though.
I'm pointing this out. The original
Terrible idea.
baseball team in the Los Angeles area was the Angels. They played for the Pacific Coast League in the early 1900s. So they were technically here 40 years before the Dodgers moved here to Los Angeles. So it is technically correct to call them the Los Angeles Angels.
They are the Los Angeles Angels.
But to call them the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which is what they were called when I worked for them, that was like sketchy. And they had to do that because they had to deal with the city of Anaheim that said they had to have the name Anaheim in it. But they wanted to go back to the original name, and it was just an absolute mess. But I had a blast working for them. And I mean, like, you know, it was really fun to work with. Baseball's like sort of my religion, so it was really cool.
I thought nature was your religion. I thought science was your religion.
I have like a couple.
I thought you weren't religious.
Science, Formula One, baseball. Those are like the three main ones. So.
Oh yes, I keep forgetting about that.
And I love that somebody like commented on the last show, which was like, I would have never taken Jared for a Formula One fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Surprise, suckers. I is. So.
Can you mute my microphone?
Yep. So, that's a thing.
5 minutes.
Like I said, we might be just a titch late today.
Yeah, I'll probably be late. So. Yeah, you're welcome, Levi. So it works. I'm not Ben.
Apparently Ben wants you on the other side.
Oh, then move.
A baseball division in North Dakota. I like that.
You guys can be Ben or you can move to the other
It's pretty good. Yeah, I can. Great. Now I'm thrown off completely today.
You're always on that side.
Not your normal position?
Yeah, I know. Thaddeus, I haven't watched enough Formula E yet.
Formula E?
Yes, that's the electric car racing.
Okay, why don't they
And I
call
want to
it?
watch it. They did it for a couple of years at Long Beach, at the Long Beach Grand Prix, which is coming up in a couple weeks, which I'll definitely be going to.
Why isn't it just Formula 1E?
Because it's not under the... Yeah, it doesn't follow the Formula 1 rules. And is it a part of the FIA? Yeah, I don't think it's the same governing body either.
Oh. So it's
Yeah.
not like WonderCon and Comic-Con?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. It's not the same people doing the same
Just saying.
things. Jetta, you might want to mute me. I'm getting drink. Am I muted? Not yet? Okay, I'm holding.
magically.
How about now?
Now you're muted.
Awesome.
No, no. I was thinking, there's more sugar. You can still hear me, right? Yeah. Not you. Yeah. Anywho, so there's that.
Oh, apparently Formula E is FIA. So.
We really shouldn't broadcast this part. Why would you say that, Northern Chev? Just out of curiosity. Northern Chev off of YouTube, by the way.
Hey, that landed pretty good.
If you had any misguided understanding that we are professional in some manner of the word, let me explain to you how we are not.
Let me tell you just how.
No. I am not even remotely close to being disrespected.
No, that's cool.
And hopefully you also are not disrespected by us, by you realizing that we are nowhere close to being professional, and and we just pretend.
This is why we always say watch live.
Yeah,
because the funny stuff happens and we cut out the funny stuff.
I don't know if it's funny.
I think it's funny. I'm amused by it.
I'm amused. I'm amused. Ginge. Yeah, we are fun. Yeah. I don't. Well, I mean, I appreciate the support, but I don't know if this is the best part. Because if this is just the best part, you could just kind of come hang out with us. Because we're kind of like this all the time.
Yeah.
Even if we're not wearing microphones.
We're not acting or anything. We're literally being ourselves.
No, we're terrible actors.
1 minute.
So 1 minute, that ain't happening. So it's okay though.
Nelson Nisley off of YouTube. I want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. It says, I love watching this stuff. I run sound at my church. This is the coolest part to watch. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the beginning of Anchorman. Like,
How now, brown cow.
New York.
The arsonist had oddly shaped feet. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Bank loan. That's my favorite part. Hey, you know who now has seen that movie? Stoge.
Excellent. Now we need to show Stoge Step Brothers. So.
Wait, I'm sorry. One more time, Dada?
I've still not seen it.
Dada has not seen Anchorman. We have to fire Dada. I will happily go on. This is not a problem in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
I know. No one fires Duta. I got it.
Yeah. No one puts the Dada in the corner.
And here I am.
In a corner?
In a corner.
Almost.
What do you need?
Just need to get my thing.
Should you bring a change of
going,
clothes?
and then I'm good.
Probably, Scott. Ginge, I don't know how somebody can be incredibly questionably anything.
Incredibly questionable.
Well, he says they're all great except Stoge. She's incredibly questionable Australian. I don't. It's.
I feel like I'm incredibly questionably awesome. Hi, Internet.
I don't know if you're being incredibly questionably anything.
True. Should have thought about that before I said that.
All right, cool. I feel like you're gonna be
Start to the day.
questionable on some things. I don't know how you could get more questionable about something. or less, honestly, less, like, semi-questionable. I'm quasi-questionable about some things.
English language, right?
Yeah,
Australia.
he does speak it, right?
Yep. I feel so short right now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, okay, that's not her fault. Like, I'm up on a
I
step.
need to jump and then I'm still.
Yeah, well, here, you get on the step.
Should I stand next to Stoge?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
See, now, look!
And also, oh my goodness.
Now I'm shorter than you.
This is weird. Yeah, you are on your tippy toes. So. and you're on the box as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
I like how this looks visually.
All right.
yeah,
Cool.
it's very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, well, it hides my fat, so I'm perfectly
So,
happy being this short here.
I'm not.
Just I'm all.
The shirt, I didn't have a good Angel shirt to wear. It
Advice
was like
for an
10 years
Aussie
old.
traveling to the US.
If you get pulled over, do not get out of your car.
What?
Also, they don't
If you get pulled over, do not get out of your car.
Oh, here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also,
no.
apparently in the US they don't get Good Friday and Easter Monday off. What happened to the 4-day weekend? Who knows? But that's...
There's no 4-day. The United States, maybe you've heard of this, is based off of the separation of church
Yeah.
and state.
Anyway, on
That's
that note, the show's going to start.
a
Bye.
somewhat big. It's gonna, yeah, sort of.
Hello, Internet. Sorry, some last-minute scrambling. Daddy's back, so everyone has to be
Gross.
No, we don't. You never do.
It's true.
He ain't lying. Sorry.
Do you have both of my? So my script isn't updating with my other stuff, but you have both of my coming up images, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Your script is not updating.
Doesn't matter. Actually, I should double check to make sure that the rest of my stuff is updated.
I saw it. I saw 2 images in your open. So, of course, now I'm coughing.
Oh, you know why? Because I didn't actually update my script section. Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Good to go?
Yeah.
I can't get my IFB cable to stay. It just keeps popping like straight out of my ears, driving me bonkers. Also, hello, chat room. There's nothing I can do. It will not loop around my ear. My ears are too small.
You're not going to see it, though.
I mean, you'll see it on the main
yeah.
topic. Yeah.
Like,
I'm just a mess.
You're fine, Ben.
You're tied way too tight in there, too.
Well, I tried to get some tension to try to pull it behind my ear, but
Yeah,
the
but I think it
loop.
might be too much.
No, it's not enough.
Really?
Yeah, the loop is too broad. It needs to be tight. It needs to be tightened like this.
Give it a twist.
I already did that. Tried twisting in either direction, and it will not. Just the way this IFB is set, it won't. No, now that's too tight. Sorry. So hang on. Let me. All right. See if that plays out. It's just gonna pop. I can feel it pop right back over my ear again. It's all right. It's not. It's not gonna stay. Now loosen that back up. Let's just go. Where's my? Did I move it too far? I did. Sorry. Just trying to. Nope. Still. No. Still no good. All right.
And welcome to the conversation. My name is Carrie Ann, and I will be your host in this first segment of the show. With me today, I have a Jared, who is our resident astronomer. I also have a Benjamin.
I'm back.
Our founder.
Whoa!
How's that?
Wow, I feel like I got an upgrade.
What?
You didn't, though. I also have Donna, oh goodness, behind us, who's going to be producing the show, you know, the important one. Now, today in news, we have...
Oh my gosh, it's wet. It's too wet.
I have got an insane number of launches. So many launches. I'm also going to be talking about Blue Origin pulling a little bit of a switcheroo on their second stage.
No, right? And then, I know you've been asking, we have a round table discussion this week all about how humanity is not exactly living amongst the stars. What's holding us back? And then in our third segment, of course, we all come back again together to talk about your questions and comments about last week's show. But this is tomorrow, Orbit 11.13.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
Now, for for sure, I want to make sure I give a huge thank you to our citizens of tomorrow. These are the Escape Velocity citizens. They get their name in their show of all 3 segments. They get access to exclusive citizen-only hangouts that we also had this last week, and they get so much more. If you are interested in getting your name in the show and a lot of other fun things, please feel free to head on over to patreon.com/TMRO or makersupport.com/TMRO. So we have to get going because there are a lot of launches. There's
Beth said so many launches.
So many launches.
I'll see you guys later.
No kidding. It's another one of those things that citizens at a particular level also get access to. He's out. He's leaving. He's literally leaving. There you go. You get access to our a read-only version of our rundown, which means you can see just how many launches there are. So, Ben, in lieu of a Space Mike being here, I'm going to hand them over to you because Jared has important things to talk about this week. Yeah.
So, I'll be replacing a hologram who is out for repairs this week. Hope to have him back by next week.
I think it was something lost in
annual maintenance.
Literally lost in transit.
All right, so let's start with Thursday, March 29th at 11:26 Coordinated Universal Time. This is a GLSV Mark II.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, +1, +2, +3, +4.
L40 ignition nominal, S139 ignited, and the vehicle lifts off from the launch pad.
And the GLSV, that's the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle. It is a 3-stage rocket with a solid fuel core center stage. It's got 4 liquid boosters around the outside and a liquid second stage with an improved engine. It's a high thrust VICAS engine and a cryogenic third stage. So they're doing some testing on that improved engine on
They're
that.
Just throwing all of the new things at it at once. It's like if something goes wrong, is that? I feel like that should be an issue of which new thing did we screw up, guys?
Well, it's the engines. No, it's the engines that were new on this one. Essentially, they're testing the upgraded engines. They also have the GSAT-6A spacecraft that has a deployable S-band antenna with multiple communication beams. I believe they're beamforming arrays. They also tested some new technologies to enhance in India's communication network. So they had the test engine itself and then also kind of a test satellite on that vehicle. Let's move along to China. They had a Long March 3B. That also happened on Thursday, March 29th at 17:56 Coordinating Universal Time. There she goes.
Love that orange smoke.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to that in a moment. This vehicle launched 2 Beidou navigation satellites. These satellites are the 7th and 8th members of China's 3rd-generation Beidou fleet, or Baidu. Anyone know the proper pronunciation?
I don't know. I like Beidou.
Yeah, I like Beidou too.
Beidou.
You? Beidou? All right, cool. It's named for the Chinese word for the Big Dipper constellation. The first Beidou test satellite launched in 2000, and they've since launched 31 navigation payloads into orbit. But again, this was their 3rd generation, which is why that was only 7 and 8 of those. The 3rd generation vehicles carry upgraded atomic clocks, which helps the accuracy of the GPS constellation itself. So the more accurate the time on the GPS satellite, the more accurate. He's really going to stay out for all of launches, isn't he? The more accurate your navigation can
Jared
actually be.
Jared needed to go for a walk. He was really upset by that.
So the Long March 3C rocket, you mentioned that orange smoke. That's because the first stage, it has 4 liquid-powered boosters, but they're hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide. Tetroxide. There we go. That is a hypergolic fuel, so don't breathe in those orange.
Are hypergols always orange like that?
Smells like fish.
I don't think hypergols have to always be orange. Hypergols can be many different things, but in this particular case, yes, they are orange.
And so that way you can look at it and go, hypergol.
Not always.
Okay.
Not always, no. That is not a fair thing to always do. But if you don't generally see any sort of anything, that might be like a hydrolox engine, like a hydrogen liquid oxygen. What are you doing?
Yeah,
that's a good point. In general, if you see orange stuff come off of a rocket, run the other way.
Right.
Don't run towards it, run away from it.
Right.
All right, moving right along, we had a Soyuz 2-1V launch.
I like this footage.
Oh, wait, do we not have... I thought we had... Oh, we have rollout footage.
Yeah.
Oh, so I get some. So, all right. So Thursday, March 29th. See a trend there? Thursday, March 29th, 2018, at 17:38 coordinated universal time. Like I said, this was a Soyuz 2-1V. It's the 4th flight of this rocket. It launched from the Plesk Cosmodrome in Russia, and it carried the Cosmos 25 payload up top. That payload is a small experimental satellite flying for Roscosmos. Because it is classified, we don't actually have a whole lot of information about it, but here you go. Here's the liftoff itself. So I joke a lot that we don't use a lot of GoPros in aerospace, but I'm pretty sure that's a GoPro. Anyhow, yeah, not a whole lot of information on the payload itself, other than it is EMKA, or Experimental Small Spacecraft. And again, Cosmos 25, which is a sequential designation under the system that was actually designed back in the Soviet Union era, of all places. Yeah, they just keep incrementing the number one by one by one for all of the things that they don't want to actually give you a proper name. All right, so this next launch,
I like this
he's back.
But because I like the snow, I think it's pretty.
Yeah, it is. It is quite. Actually, there is some old footage of a Soyuz launching in basically a blizzard. If you search YouTube, you can find it. I think that is some of the most incredible launch footage out on the internet of just this rocket launching, right through a blizzard, and Russia being like, "Cool, it'll be fine." So yeah.
You feeling better?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Nice walk. It's nice out today.
Good.
So.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful
So,
day.
Jared, I'll have to hand this one over to you.
Absolutely.
This is a SpaceX launch, so I can't cover it due to my affiliation with SpaceX.
Yeah, so I'll cover it because I'm not affiliated. So, yesterday, it was on March 30th at 14:13 coordinated universal time from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Air Force Base in Southern California. The 6th Falcon 9 launch of 2018 occurred, and let's roll that beautiful launch footage.
5, 4.
Oh, that is colored beautifully.
2, 1.
And it carried 10 Iridium Next satellites in orbit. This is the 5th launch of that particular contract with Iridium. All of the satellites separated successfully, and it flew on a booster that previously was used for the Iridium 3 mission back in October of 2017. This was flown exactly 1 year since SpaceX reused an orbital class first stage. Now, attempting fairing recovery, that was unfortunately unsuccessful. Mr. Stephen was out in the Pacific Ocean, Mr. Stephen being the boat that attempts to catch the fairings. Elon Musk tweeted that the fairing's GPS-guided parafoil twisted during descent, causing the fairing to hit the ocean at high speed. They're going to be doing drop tests from a helicopter that could occur in the next few weeks to help solve that issue. Now, interesting to note, the webcast ended around 9 minutes into flight, just after main engine cutoff of the second stage. This was caused by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, putting in a restriction to transmission of imagery from space. It's unknown if this will be resolved before the next Falcon 9 launch, which is currently slated for April 2nd of 2018. So just a few days away, which will be CRS-14 sending a Dragon to the space station with a nice load of science on board. But wonderful shots.
Some great comments from the chat room.
Is that like a universal unit of measurement, a load?
A load?
A load
yes.
of science?
Well, there's some other words I can put in front of the load.
Gotcha.
Like a metric, ton.
A metric ton, yeah.
There's things like that. So,
yeah,
and it's really interesting with that. And as many of you are noting in the chat room, certain things can't be spoken about.
I like that one. That can't talk about Noah, right? And then I like this one. Let's see here. Noah, thanks.
Noah,
that's a pretty
thanks.
good
That was
one.
good.
Noah opinion.
So, I didn't mean to hit that one. There we go.
Yeah.
Noah pulled rank.
Also, we can't forget that the CRS-14 launch is currently scheduled for, as Lisa is pointing out, April 2nd.
April 2nd.
Which making its annual appearance for us here.
An old school TMRO joke from last year, actually, so I guess it's not that old school.
Yeah, it's haunting. So, yeah.
Anyhow, I have no opinion on that one. All right, that joke will get old. Already done.
Yesterday.
Already done.
Okay,
All right. Last launch. This was China's 10th launch of 2018. This one launched on March 20th. I want to say 30th. I think I typed that wrong. 2018 at 3. Yeah, that's not right. At 3:22 Coordinated Universal Time. Yeah, I don't have a lot. It's China, so I don't have a lot of footage of it.
Somebody sitting on a hill.
I know. This is another one where you don't want to be near this particular rocket. This was.
I mean, that guy does.
Yeah.
You know the internet points that dude just got?
Oh, man. This is a Long March 4C. It launched 3 Gaofen, again, I hope I pronounced that right, but Gaofen satellites. Gaofen stands for high resolution, which is apt because these are civilian high-resolution remote sensing satellites. Now, we talked about the 3C, what did we have before? A 3C, I think it was? 3B? Whatever we had before. Well, this is... China has a lot of rockets. This particular rocket on the first stage, it used N2O4 and UDMH, which is dinitrogen peroxide and unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine. Geez, that is a mouthful. Dimethylhydrazine. That is a hypergolic fuel as well, so, you know, don't go near it. And yeah, stage 2, also hypergolic. Stage 3, also hypergolic. So that is one of those rockets you want to stay away from. And actually, as I said, this was a high-resolution remote sensing satellite. This is part of China's plan to deploy a whole new constellation of high-resolution satellites and have it fully operational by the year 2020.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff there. So,
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of launches.
A lot of things.
Holy cats, so many launches. What an awesome problem for us to have, right? Remember Space Vidcast back in the day? We'd do like a launch a month maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, not anymore. Now it's, what was that, 5 launches in 1 week?
Yeah.
Yeah, and more to come. More coming up. Like, you'll see the launch calendar this week.
We're not done?
Launch!
Everyone's like,
no, right.
cool.
There's one going right now.
Yeah, all right, good, because
Oh, did I get him? Almost pug-locked him.
And you've got the next...
Great. So,
you're welcome.
Carry on.
So, onomatopoeia? I feel like we've talked about this one before.
Onomatopoeia. It's so...
That is
oh my gosh.
Of course it is.
Gosh, guys.
Oumuamua.
So, you know, I've been like really obsessed with the interstellar interloper ever since it came through our solar system last year. It's like, it's really interesting because this is the first time we've ever seen anything like this. And, you know, Oumuamua is Hawaiian and it means scout.
Okay.
So, like, scout through the solar system kind of thing. They're making fun of they're poking fun at the idea that it's an alien ship because it's not. But they're like, hey,
you know, the internet doesn't actually have a sarcasm font.
It needs one. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think we
need a sarcasm font. Oh, wait, we have one. Comic Sans.
Oh, wow.
Gross.
Anyway, go on.
So we know that it came from outside of the solar system and that it's a cigar-shaped asteroid, roughly 400 meters long, that's red in color, and when it zipped past the sun, it was traveling at 100,000 kilometers an hour. That's really, really fast. Like, super fast.
Right.
So, Oumuamua likely isn't the first interstellar object to go through our solar system. At any given time, there's likely thousands of these objects out there. But it was the first that we were able to detect. And with subsequent further observations with some of the largest ground-based telescopes and most powerful space-based telescopes, the mystery is only deepened further as to its origins. Now, Dr. Alan Jackson of the Center for Planetary Sciences at the University of Toronto Scarborough published a study that may help solve a piece of that puzzle of its origins, but also subsequently add another piece to the puzzle when we're trying to solve this. Now, Jackson and his team created models to test how well different star systems are at throwing objects like asteroids and comets away from it, ejecting them. And it showed that objects like Oumuamua, asteroids, are more likely to be ejected from binary star systems than single star systems. This result, super fascinating because it's a great example of studying something and getting more questions than answers. But it also answers a huge question that up until now we had no real actual solid answer for, which is why was Oumuamua an asteroid? Basically, something without ice or what we would call volatiles on it. Why was it an asteroid? Because, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong about this. I really like our hyperbolic friends in whatever flavor they come in. But it was predicted that when we were going to find an object like this, specifically an interstellar object like this, it would much more likely be a cometary object rather than something like an asteroid, because comets tend to form further away from their stars than asteroids, which means that when they come into orbits closer to their stars, they're moving much faster, higher velocities, and are much more likely to be ejected entirely from their systems. Well, this study basically posits that even with objects like asteroids only making up 1/3 of all the material ejected from binary star systems, the fact that stellar populations are heavily binary. Most stars out there have a companion that they're orbiting around. The asteroids and comets, because of that, they're in equal abundance. So because of the fact that most stars are binary, and asteroids are being chucked away from these binary stars more frequently than single stars just around themselves, it kind of evens things out in the distribution of the expected objects. So, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So, great results.
I like that. Nice.
Yeah.
There was a comment in the chat room I wanted to get to. Unbroken Fish in YouTube says Hawaiian name?
Yes.
Question mark?
It is.
What's the reasoning for that? Or like, was it somebody from Hawaii who saw this first? Like,
yes, there's a telescope that we have up on Mauna Kea called the Pan-STARRS telescope.
Gotcha.
So
finders keepers?
Yes, finders keepers kind of. And the scientists who discovered it, you get to name it and everything like that. And because it was the first object of its kind, they decided to go with Hawaiian names as a part of the nomenclature for it. And we'll see if that nomenclature sticks if we find more interstellar objects, because typically we try to name things after specific, things. Like if you look at them, if you look at Uranus and all the moons around it, it's named after characters in Shakespeare plays and things like that.
Okay.
So we try to stick with the specific areas for nomenclature. So we'll see if this one stays.
It's kind of like having a litter of puppies. You give a theme.
Yes, exactly. We theme things when we name stuff. So
see, I got you.
That's the way it works. Yeah. So
all right.
It's pretty cool. So,
all right. Very, very cool. So Ben, you sort of alluded to this in news, and
a little switcheroo.
Yeah, I mean, so Blue Origin is what we're talking about here, and I feel like there are a lot of times where Blue Origin does something really fantastic.
Yep.
And doesn't tell anybody about it.
Well, they do something fantastic. We learn like 2 weeks later that they did something fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, till they're done, they've edited their video and then publish it and go, hey, we did this really cool thing.
By the way, we're on the moon.
Right. So I saw this title.
Who's more secretive, Blue Origin or China?
And
Blue Origin or China?
Well, there's more cameras in China, apparently.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's a really good comment coming out of our own chat room as opposed to YouTube or Twitch or anywhere else that you would like to comment from Jules. Oh, it's going too fast. So basically it says Blue Who. Go there you go.
Blue Origin, right?
Origin.
So, Blue Origin.
So I was worried when I saw this of like Blue Origin switches something. I was like, wait, what? What happened?
Right. So Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos.
May know him from Amazon fame.
Amazon, I believe, currently the richest man in the world. He's in the top like 5, right? I mean, he's way up there. He's way up there. Yeah, right.
And if you look at photos from him in 1998 and him now, he's like jacked.
He's
now.
swole.
Oh yeah.
He looks like he ate himself.
He does in fact lift.
Not relevant to the story. Okay. So Blue Origin has a couple different rockets. They have the New Shepard rocket. You can tell their naming convention really quick. Named off of Alan Shepard.
Much like a litter of puppies. Just saying. Go on.
After Alan Shepard, first American in space, but it was a suborbital flight. It is a suborbital rocket. We also have what they're working on now, their first orbital rocket called the New Glenn, named after John Glenn, the first American to successfully orbit the Earth. Now, the New Glenn was supposed to use the BE4 engines for its first and second stages. Those are methalox engine, meaning methane and liquid oxygen. So there you go. There is a BE4 engine on the screen right now. They are currently developing their BE4 sea-level engines and have made really good strides in doing that. We've actually seen them do a test. It was like a 2-minute video on YouTube on a test firing. Ton of information on BE4. BE4 will also be used on the upcoming Vulcan rocket from United Launch Alliance. Again, this methalox engine making great strides. However, the engines you need at sea level are different than the engines that you need up in the vacuum of space. And so they were going to create essentially...
Space is not a vacuum.
The near vacuum of space?
I'm just being clear.
What is space then?
It's very close to being a vacuum.
The near vacuum of space.
I'm just saying.
For the purpose of this conversation, we will say the vacuum of space with the understanding that we mean the near vacuum of space.
It is a near perfect vacuum.
Right. We're just going to say, because it's not, I'm not going to say near vacuum every time.
Maybe
we're going to say, I'm not going to.
Go on.
So, they needed to develop a vacuum-optimized version, a near-vacuum-optimized version of the BE4 engine. But instead of doing that, what they're going to do is create a near-vacuum-optimized version of the BE3 engine, which is a hydrolox engine. The BE3 engine is what you see on that New Shepard rocket that has actually launched before, which means that it is a flight-proven engine. However, it's suborbital, so it's never actually been used like full-on for extended durations in a orbital mission. evolution. So there will be some tweaks required, and those tweaks will give it a new designation of the BE3U, which is going to be the near vacuum optimized version of the engine. Now, there are advantages to that. Oh, yeah, you started that.
It's not my fault that they misnamed their own engine.
And you complain about Pluto planet conventions with everything. So.
I'm not the one who started this. I didn't start this.
Just saying.
Now, the BE3 engine actually has a higher specific impulse, or ISP, than the BE4 engine because a Hydrolox engine is just going to be more efficient than a Methalox engine. Just the fuels themselves will allow for a more efficient engine. So the BE3 engine actually might be a better fit in space. So they're going to use some of their existing technology, and the main reason they're doing this is they want to fly, well, at least the main reason we understand they're doing this because, you know, it's Blue Origin, so I have limited data here. We have to speculate. So this is speculation. To be clear, this has been speculating. I believe the main reason they want to do this is to maintain a 2020 launch date for the New Glenn rocket.
I was also hearing some speculation that some of those, you know, Department of Defense payloads have to be put into really weird high energy orbits, and you want to optimize for that. But also,
I thought
just kind of
hang on. I thought that Blue Origin was in an agreement with United Launch Alliance that they would not launch military payloads, and that would all be done on the Vulcan rocket.
Oh, I don't.
I thought that was the case. Chat room, do correct me if I'm wrong. But
someone will correct us.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, they will. There is a question in the chat room from Rebel Ace Friesland saying, where are the BE2 and 1? If anybody knows.
That's actually a great question. As far as I know, they started flying with the BE3.
That's the first thing I heard as well.
That was back, all of this started back in 2012 were the designs, so I'm not sure.
The only thing I can think of is that if you are ever here in the States and you are looking at ketchup, and there's a couple of different brands. There's one that's Heinz 57, and it says 57 on it because it was like the 57th formula that they got to, and it was like, eureka, this is the one we want. So I don't know if maybe the BE1 was total crap and BE2 was a little bit better, but BE3 was actually good. That would be my theory.
In the early 2000s, they actually did develop a BE1, which used peroxide as a propellant. It generated about 2,000 pounds of thrust.
Sure.
And then they went on to the BE2, which was a bipropellant engine using kerosene and peroxide, generating 31,000 pounds of thrust.
Internet for the win on a live show.
You're welcome.
There you go.
No need to comment.
There you go. Yeah.
We got it.
Rebel Ace says, Wiki says they exist, but not that they flew.
All right.
I mean,
cool. Sure.
You don't have to fly every engine you make.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. All right. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. So, Jared, thankfully you went to the bathroom before the show, so I know you're not talking about yourself.
I still spilt water on myself.
I feel like that was more information than was required.
So, yeah.
It doesn't matter now. What's with the planets being too wet?
Yeah, so, I was trying to tell people, stay hydrated.
Right.
And it's really important. And I accidentally hydrated my shirt a little bit, too. That, dampening the expectations of life is not exactly something that we would expect. You're welcome.
Yep, I got it.
For that one. But there's been a study that's come from scientists at Arizona State and Vanderbilt University that is looked at the recently discovered TRAPPIST-1 solar system. And they've realized that they likely have too much water to support life. Now, TRAPPIST-1 has 7 planets that are about the size of the Earth, and they are very tightly packed together. This is a great image that shows you just how tightly packed they are. Up on the top there is Jupiter and its 4 Galilean moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. On the bottom is the actual size of the TRAPPIST-1 system, with the planets a lot bigger than they actually are. But that's the actual distances. You could literally almost fit the first 2 planets in the TRAPPIST-1 system within the distance from Jupiter to its furthest Galilean moon, Callisto. So it's an itty-bitty system. And it can be itty-bitty because the TRAPPIST-1 star is a red dwarf star, so it's an itty-bitty star. Now, this would fit well within the orbit of Mercury around our sun. And because that red dwarf star is cooler than our sun, the habitable zone is a lot closer, so some of these planets are actually sitting in that habitable zone. However, these planets, they're not similar in mass to our Earth. They're actually much less dense, even though they're about the size of the Earth. They're too light to be rocky planets, but they're also too compact to be made mostly of atmospheric gases. And if they were able to hold on to the atmospheric gases, the light curves would appear puffier than they actually do, but they don't. They're very sharp light curves. So with gas and rock out of the game, water was factored in, and just how much water was needed to make up for the mass deficits was unknown. So the team looked at the chemical composition of the host star, TRAPPIST-1 there, along with the mass and radius of each planet, and software was created that determined that the innermost planets, B and C, have less than 15% water by mass, and 2 of the outer planets, F and G, have over 50% water by mass. Now, if that doesn't sound like a lot of water by mass, let's compare it to the Earth, which only has 0.02% water by mass.
Wow, that's a lot lower than I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
I
figured like everything's ocean, so it would
this isn't just an order of magnitude more. This is like several orders of magnitude more water on these planets, if there is water there with them, with that. Now, of course, we know liquid water is one of the 3 critical components that life as we currently understand it needs to exist. The other are SNOPs, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur, and a source of energy, be it photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. Now, too much water can actually hinder habitability, as the geochemistry that can help kickstart life doesn't occur if there's little surface above the water for it to interact and mix in with, as we understand it. So life could be radically different, but right now we only have
primordial goo.
Yeah, sort of that ooze, if you will, where it starts at.
What about water bears, tardigrades?
What about them?
Well, I mean, their street name is water bear.
Yeah, but you still need the primordial goo.
Yeah, you still need essentially the ability of water and rock to mix together and generate chemistry. At least as we currently understand things. You need that mix of water and rock to actually work with that. And if you have a water planet, you likely don't have any mixing of water and rock like you need to generate that kind of chemistry.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it's wild. So.
All right.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's wet and wild. So.
Wow. No, I think that's a different thing. All right.
So.
After dark is next, right?
That's true.
No, what is next is we're going to be taking a little bit of a calendar break, and when we come back, we're going to do our roundtable discussion about, this is going to be an easy one, you guys, what's holding back humanity from living amongst the stars? So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. And nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving, through the heat keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
And tomorrow continues with our roundtable discussion. But before we get into that, a special thank you to all of the citizens of tomorrow who've helped to make this specific segment of this episode happen. These are people who've contributed $10 or more to tomorrow. We also have our orbital citizens. These are people who've contributed $5 or more to this specific episode. To find out how you can help crowdfund the shows tomorrow, head on over to makeearthsupport.com/TMRO. I also want to say that this is the first show we're doing with our brand new shiny website. It's pretty cool over at TMRO.tv. So do let us know what you think. It was many weeks in the making, and lots of back and forth. So again, let us know what you think of the brand new website and check it out. It's pretty cool.
Also, hi guys. The people who helped make the website said they're our new biggest fans, and so you better be watching.
That's from oneweekwebsite.com.
One Week Website, really great people to work with.
All right, let's go into our main topic, which is what is currently holding humanity back from our next cosmic steps. Jared.
Do you want? Should I just
whatever
like,
you
throw it
like?
out there?
Yeah, what's holding us back from our next?
Let's
let's set the stage here, right?
Sure.
We went to the moon in 1969.
We sure did.
That was one of the first big steps out of our home planet, right? We left our home planet, left the safety of Earth. We went to the moon. It was a little step, but still, a big monumental thing.
Yes.
1972. Last time we've done that. The next time we went to the moon was never. We have never returned to the moon. We have not gone to Mars. We have not explored anything past that from a humanity standpoint. Now, we send tons of robots, and robots are awesome, but no humans have gone out past the moon ever, other than, like, if you count like an Apollo 8 slingshot sort of thing. I think the furthest out a human was Apollo 13.
Yes.
Right? The
correct.
Yep. So why? What's holding us back from going back to the moon, going on to Mars, going to Jupiter? Well, you're not going to land in Jupiter, but I suppose you could.
Absolutely. The moon's of Jupiter, you absolutely could. For me, it's two things that are holding back humanity. Cash and consistency. So those are the two main things.
Cash and consistency. It's a little alliterative, so that's easy to remember.
Yes. So it's sort of, especially with cash, it's the old adage, no bucks, no Buck Rogers. So if you actually want to have the missions of humanity, humans are a lot more finicky than robots. They require things like food and air and water and radiation protection and other things, and entertainment to somehow keep them busy.
The cosmos isn't entertaining in and of itself?
It is, but you still have to psychologically have some sort of connection back with where you've come from, or else things start to get a little interesting. With that there, I think you can talk a little bit to that.
Talk about that. Why? Actually, why? Why is entertainment holding us? You didn't say that, but I'm putting it on you now, Josh. Also, we don't have a name banner for you, but Josh,
Future Martian.
Future Martian. Yeah. So, why is entertainment important?
Because people go bonkers without it, basically. They run. Is that actually? Savage. Well, you've got to be able to stimulate the brain. So it's this idea that if you're not engaged in some shape or form, you're not using your brain. So when something really drastic happens, you're not ready to respond to it.
So entertainment is the wrong word. It's engagement that we're looking for.
It's about utilising your brain and having something that you're kind of interested in, involved in. It doesn't have to be entertaining. You don't have to be sitting there watching like reality TV. It needs to be something that is engaging.
So that
I was going to say, reality TV, not interesting. Just to be clear about that. Go on. Sorry.
No, that's it.
There's an irony there.
We just watch a show about ourselves.
So, in your opinion, what's holding humanity back from taking our next cosmic steps?
Nationalism.
Nationalism, interesting.
It kind of boils down to this whole focus on where we come from, which patch of dirt we were born on, and we lay claim to such and such a country. And it's the idea of us as a species moving out into the solar system and exploring further. The US got to the moon, and it was something that was done for all of humankind, but it was also because they were racing the Russians to get there. So this idea that we're kind of somehow competing against each other is crazy. NASA's just celebrating this $20 billion budget.
But wait a minute. That competition got us to the moon. When the competition ended, so did our reaching out to the cosmos.
But the drive to actually go there in the first place was not about wanting to explore the cosmos. It was about wanting to go out and prove that we
But the question isn't. The question is not will we explore our drive like. The question didn't include drive for going out there.
My argument is they got there and they were already talking about cancelling Apollo after Apollo 11. And you saw that happen with the J-class missions.
Actually, fun factoid, they were talking about canceling Apollo before Apollo 11.
Yeah. Well, I just, I always want to throw this out here in the historical context that Apollo was not a popular thing during its time period.
No, actually, space is more popular now than it was in the Apollo era.
It was only after Apollo, when really, especially in the 80s, when people started going back and visiting it historically and studying it, that then the rise and the romanticism of spaceflight kind of became a thing. During its time, it was a deeply unpopular project. People thought that we're not getting anything out of this, so what's the point of spending all this money to send two guys to walk on the moon? Now, we can look back now and go like, oh yeah, look at all the technology and all of the bringing together of people that we were able to get out of that. But at that time, it was a deeply unpopular thing.
So, Karen, in your opinion, what is holding humanity back from our next cosmic steps?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but my initial response was humanity.
Elaborate.
So Vax had a comment very specifically in here somewhere saying, the only thing holding us back is the will to go. And I guess that's kind of like, if I have to pick a particular camp to fight with, that's the one. People say money, people say politics, people, nationalism. I think it's all kind of in there to a certain extent. But yeah, if we just sort of laid down all of our dumb crap and said, we're going to do this it does not matter what the answer is or what is wrong, right? I don't care that you're Russian, I'm American, he's Australian, and he's from China. Doesn't matter. We need to do this together. I don't care how much it costs. Actually, you know what? It doesn't cost anything anymore. Everyone's going to do this because this is the right thing to do, right? What's the joke about the asteroid detection?
Oh, yeah. Asteroids and comets are nature's way of saying, how's that space program coming along?
Right, right. So we have a big enough rocket coming at us. We're going to pull some sort of Armageddon, Bruce Willis kind of situation, and we're going to band together, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to go.
And we have to do this before, like, Bruce Willis is getting old, so we have a problem there, right?
No, we definitely have to do it. We definitely have to do it before that. But yeah, I think it's the will, and I think the will is to a certain extent weak enough to go, well, we don't have enough money, and I don't know what to do, and I don't want to do it with him though because he's not from my country. Like, no. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Period.
But, so that, I mean, yeah, right, we could choose to do this, but that also seems a bit idealistic, right? I mean, we are more divided now as a peoples than, like, than I have ever seen.
Well, we all hate Mark Zuckerberg. It's fine.
She's not wrong.
And he knows it because he's watching everybody.
That to go that way.
Cool.
Did you hear that? Did you hear
Watch me say it. It's fine.
Did you hear that, Mark?
Alexa, winter is coming. Look, whatever, right? If we can find enough things to band together on, and that just seems like, yes, I have a very sunny disposition when it comes to all the things wonderful things that humans can do. But there, time and time again, somebody's like, what do you mean I can't just buy a Russian rocket? Okay, I guess I'll just make my own then.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback on what you said with the sort of the will of people to go. Carl Sagan brought up a really interesting point in one of his books, which is that as a species begins to move itself out from its home, there's a choice the species has to make. It has to either say, I'm willing to be uncomfortable and go further beyond my limits, or I'm going to retract back to where I've gone because I've gone there and I've experienced it, and I don't want to go beyond the limits of what my species is capable of.
Based on that, we have chosen to retract back then. Because we went to the moon in the 60s and early 70s, and we have not gone back since. We have chosen to not go back.
I would say we've not fully retracted. We just sort of broke what was my second point that I brought up, besides funding, which was consistency of goal. We retreated back to low Earth orbit, for better or for worse. We could literally have another roundtable about that if we wanted to. But we didn't retreat fully. We didn't say we're not going to explore space anymore. We're done. We're staying on this rock forever. We just decided to go a different route because we thought that route might be a little bit better than this big rocket route. We're going to build a reusable spacecraft to build a space station to study what happens to humans when they stay in space for a really long time. Now, we found out that the type of reusability that they use is the wrongest type of reusability.
Refurbishability.
I don't want to, I can't. Oh my God, it hurts.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, that's what we said is a human species. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you were also saying before, like, there's more people supporting exploring space than ever before, than even during the 60s when they went there.
But we're doing less. Well, that's not a fair statement from a human standpoint.
But you can also look at it as, like, early adoption of technology. You've got the technology adoption curve, where Apollo was the early adopters going out doing something extreme. And now there's a larger population of people who are coming on board as the technology becomes more available. More people are saying this is a thing we should do. So,
is the technology becoming more available? We talk a lot about, especially on this show, all the future stuff that's coming up. I just talked about Blue Origin's upcoming New Glenn rocket. They've got a new Armstrong rocket coming out after that sometime. One can imagine where that's going to go. Yeah. But none of these things are out, right? SpaceX talks about the BFR, the Big Falcon rocket. It's not a thing. We talk about the Space Launch System. It's not a thing. All of these things that are supposed to push humanity out there, we talk about them a lot. Yeah. But nothing is shipping.
SpaceX is literally landing rockets, though. That's something that was talked about for decades as being impossible, and in the space of, 15 years, it starts happening. Someone comes along and says, let's use what's available now, and we'll start doing something that was claimed to be impossible for 30, 40 years.
I feel like once space becomes sort of an everyday thing that affects your life greatly, that's when it's really going to end up
How does it impact your everyday life greatly? What in space, what in human exploration of the cosmos will create that?
I feel like, this is probably going to be wildly incorrect, and we can replay it in 5 years on Orbit
I'm excited
16.
for this moment.
But
Everyone record this.
I feel like with all these internet constellations coming online and stuff like that, that's really going to get people interested in spaceflight, because the internet is one of those things that is almost like you need it at this point to basically do just about anything, for better or for worse, with how we are as a species. And when you're going to be able to have the access to that as low a cost at as high a speed as is being said at the moment, we'll see if that actually translates with it there. But once something like that happens and you realize the importance of deploying things like this, that should be able to do it. I also feel like once you start making money in space, like actually doing things in space, like
but again, I keep feeling like once you do this, and then once you do that, and then once you do that, like, there definitely has to be a process to the entire thing, right? Like you can't run before, or you can't jump before you run, right? That's the saying. Yes, there has to be milestones to hit. Don't get me wrong. You can't just be like, we're gonna go, and be like Mr. Flat Earther with the steam engine thing going on. Like you can't just do that, because we're not fairies. You can't clap it into existence and just make it a thing. But at the same time, like, I feel as though, granted, I said the word feel and not think, but I feel as though we continually look at things, and there's somebody in the chat room that actually had a really great comment. Travis Neal off of YouTube says, I don't buy fear. People take bigger steps and punch through fear. It's all about establishing the monetary value in space operations. But that also still says to me, like, well, until we know how to make money in space, then we'll go. Like, no, just go.
It's easy to say when you're not footing the bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I can barely keep this show alive sometimes. Like, I understand that. But I guess if there's a big enough... this is the sunny disposition in me, right? Like, if we just all do it together, though, right? Like, isn't the internet supposed to be bringing all these people together?
Oh, the internet does the opposite of that.
That's why
that sounds great on paper, but that is not how this works.
Or until we get really upset that SpaceX is just throwing away boosters now because, we can land them, so why aren't we always landing them? I'm going to keep my mouth shut because the internet's definitely going to hate me really soon, I guess. But yeah, that's how that sounds to me. That's how that ends up sounding to me, is like, well, we don't know how to do it. It costs too much. It's too much a pain in the butt. Like, we don't know if we're going to make money. Like, we're going to wait until we do make money. Then we'll put people out there. Oh, no, you definitely have to put robots first because people are expensive and they're gooey and we have to keep them safe. Like,
a common theme I'm hearing is money and people, right? So nationalism, people, common goals kind of goes back to people, but you got to be able to fund it. But you look at an entity like NASA. NASA is one of the, if not the largest privately funded entities for exploration on the planet, right? More so than, it's about 50-50. I believe NASA has about 50% of the worldwide budget. We're talking private, not military, right? So military is a whole different bucket. But 50% of the budget, and the rest of the world combined has the other 50%. So, we talk about, no bucks, no Buck Rogers, but they have the bucks. Like, they have billions of dollars every year.
They do, but they also don't have consistency in their goals. If you look at every administration and where they have decided to send that agency, it's been all over the place. Kennedy, we're going to the moon. Johnson, we're doing Kennedy's legacy. Nixon came in. I don't want to do any of that. Make it cheap. Build the shuttle. Carter, Reagan, you're flying everything on that shuttle, and we're gonna do a lot more military stuff.
Actually, the way Carter said, actually, there's a lot of people down here on Earth that are kind of suffering. If we could just focus on that for a second.
That's why hands in the air kind of with it. Bush 1, no, we're sending humans to Mars.
Right.
Clinton, no, we're gonna build a space station with the Russians. Bush 2, no, we're gonna go to the moon. Then we're gonna go to Mars. Obama, no, we're gonna take an asteroid to the moon and visit the asteroid. and then maybe go to the moon. And now we've got another administration that's basically like, hey, we're going to the moon. We'll see how that happens.
Via a deep space gateway.
Yes. No, excuse me, LOPG. So Lunar Orbital Platform.
I'm sorry,
Gateway.
Stargate? What did you just say?
I'm so sorry.
There's been no
sorry.
But no, Neuropilot nails that. Neuropilot's nailed that perfectly. Of SpaceX CEO, we're going to Mars. Like, that's what Elon founded SpaceX based on and has stuck with that.
Yeah, and if you look at NASA's Science Directorate and what they've done, especially with their Mars exploration, where they basically have said, follow the water, and they've been saying that since the early 90s. And they've been doing that consistently with their Mars exploration, as opposed to what's happening in the Human Spaceflight Division, which is sort of at the whim of whatever executive branch wants to do at that time. They have been getting incredible results out of incredible work with things like that, and that consistency is really, really key. If you don't have a consistent goal, if your goal is constantly shifting, then you're gonna be on sands that are constantly shifting, and you can't stand on that.
So we talk
you're just
about
gonna sink deep into it, and you're gonna just.
All right. So as long as we're all chanting, "Go with the water" or "Find the water," what was it? What did you say?
Follow the water.
Follow the water. Then we're golden. Period.
Ish. Right, because it's money.
Can you translate that into a couple other languages?
Like what? Like,
I don't know. Anything.
Well, I mean, water's an important thing.
Cool.
So
great. So we can all say the same things then.
Yeah.
And we can all get behind it, right?
Right. So we talk about money.
I think we just solved world peace. Go on.
We talk about money inconsistency, right? And you talked a little bit, Neuropilot, and you brought up this point. You know, when it comes to governments, there's no consistency, but there is money. But in private aerospace, there's generally been consistency, but no money, or at least not the money at the level that we need now. But we've got, Jeff Bezos. As much as I give him trouble for being super secretive, he's got the money. I mean, if he's just like, hey, right?
You need something?
Here you go, right? I mean, he's building this on his own dime.
Yeah.
He's just making this happen. So I can, as a media show, obviously, I'm like, I want more stuff, but. I mean, he's actually making it happen, so I should probably just shut up and let him make it happen.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to be consistent. So is that our future? Is our future in these private companies where you've got these billionaires that are like, you know what? No, we're going to the moon. We're going to Mars. We're going to create I think Bezos is more about the cislunar stuff than he is
working
Mars.
with ULA on their cislunar 1000.
Cislunar being the space in between Earth and the moon. So, kind of...
That proximity area.
Yeah, so, kind of, we'll say Earth Moon, right? Kind of, using that as our stepping stone. Is that what we're going to need to get moving forward?
Maybe I should clarify the nationalism comment before. That's kind of where I was going with it, where you're starting to see these transnational companies coming along and saying, we're going to do this, and it doesn't matter which country we're based out of. Oh, we'll base it out of the US because there's a heritage there. But like Rocket Labs is a great example of let's launch out of New Zealand. But we're based in the US because that's easier to work on the administrative side of things.
Sure.
But we'll build it in New Zealand. Or we'll go and work in different areas based on wherever and stepping beyond the borders. The whole thing of seeing Earth from above and not being able to see borders should apply to the way we build spacecraft as well.
The overview effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, especially with the rise of private spaceflight over the past sort of half a decade, when things have really started pouring on and becoming like, oh yeah, they really are starting to make a lot of progress with this now. I feel like private companies are definitely going to end up leading the way with human spaceflight in our local area, sort of going to the moon and Mars. And I feel like public partnerships are going to be the way to go with that. NASA is definitely going to buy some rides from whoever has spacecraft ready to go. In addition, those companies will probably also have their own astronauts flying as well, and I think that's a fantastic way to go about that. I feel like, though, for science, as the way things are coming along, it's very. I would imagine that as great as a lot of these private companies are, it'd be very difficult to justify expending $3 billion to land something on Europa, drill through 10 kilometers of ice, and try to take images of what may be in the ocean underneath that ice.
But that would be really cool.
That would be sick if a private company could do that. And it would also be amazing, too, if that private company that gathers that data decides to do what we do as scientists, which is basically there is an embargo period where the principal investigator and their team gets to look at that data, and then it gets released to anybody who ever wants to use it. It'd be really cool if we didn't sort of, like I've seen people suggest, which is that a private company paywall the data with everything with that. And sure, it's their data. They gather it. If they want to charge people for it, they can. It'd be really great to have both of them working together and enabling that. And, you can even do a public-private partnership with a mission to something like Europa. You're purchasing the launch vehicle from a private company that has specifically designed this in order to lower the cost to enable exploration of things like this.
But it can't just be science, right? That's essentially all we're doing right now in space is science.
Yeah.
And if we want to expand and actually grow past Earth and move into the cosmos, it's going to have to be a lot more than just,
and that's why
here's a scientific reason for doing it. We need a lot more than that.
That's why I really like the question that we ask our guests when they come on, which is human or robotic exploration of the cosmos.
Everyone answers both,
and I'm very much in that area where my answer to that is yes, because both are super essential.
I think 100% of the people have answered both. I don't think anyone has ever said, "Oh, only humans or only robots."
Yeah.
So. Dutta, our director, actually had an interesting comment, which is there will be an endless supply of not-untils that will prevent us from doing it, not because we're looking for a reason not to do it. We already have a reason to do it. Let's get together and do it. It's always I think that's true just in life in general, right? It's always easy to find the reason not to do something, or this is too hard, this is too difficult, I can't get started until X, Y, or Z. But you just need to actually just go out and start. And that is, I think, sometimes the hardest part of a project is just beginning and making it happen.
Especially when you're at the beginning where you really don't know which way it's going to go. Either you're like, man, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Like, there's a very high probability that this is going to fail, and that's a very difficult decision to say. Okay, if it fails, it fails. We're going for it though. And that's really tough to think about.
There's a friend of mine who's involved with a business school at the moment, and totally different sort of decided track, but they plan around these 3-month clusters, this sort of, let's work on a particular project for the next 3 months, and they plan them out across 3 years, so 12 of these projects, and they expect 6 of them to fail. Like, that's right from the start. It's like, 1 in 2 is going to fail, and the ones that do work will push on from there. And that's like an expectation in business of this is what we should be expecting.
Is our lack of accepting a failure also holding us back? Going to the chat room again, Cogent 7, cost of human spaceflight would probably be cheaper if they kept safety goals at shuttle or Apollo levels rather than the high standards they demand now. I mean, obviously we want people to be safe, but there's a point where it's absurd.
Yeah, go ahead.
As I always just say, if you kill astronauts, you lose customers.
That's true. But I mean,
I guess the other side of that argument is that there are people who are willing to do it, and who am I to tell you that you can't? Yeah. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you as safe as I possibly can for as long as I possibly can. But if you're willing to do it, how can I tell you no?
It's also risk acceptance, and this is kind of the government thing coming back again. Government astronauts are government employees. They are representing that country, and so they need to come back safely to tell everyone how great their particular country's their space agency is. And so there's an element there of we have to represent, so they have to bring them back safely. And that's maybe where private starts to come in.
I think that's where nationalist ego comes in, though. Yeah. You know what I mean? And almost to a detrimental point.
Yeah, definitely.
Just assign everyone an autobiographer, a biographer, right? Like, just everyone's got like somebody that there's gonna. So in case I die, you tell my story.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Moving on. Awesome. Like, I don't mean to sound that cold-hearted about it.
No, I get where you're coming from because I am one of those people.
Right. And
strap me to it. I'm willing to take the chance.
Right. That's definitely not me. But great, please do, because that way I don't have to. Fantastic.
I'm still going to argue for safety, to do things.
Yeah.
But I am willing. I understand the risk behind it. I mean, there's that really great quote from John Young, which is anyone who sits on top of the largest hydrogen-oxygen fueled system in the world, knowing that they're going to light the bottom and doesn't get a little worried, does not fully understand the situation.
Yeah.
So,
And there's the Gus Grissom one as well of space is worth dying for.
Yeah.
That was something that they accepted, and he did.
Yeah.
And so that's, that risk acceptance is...
But we don't seem to be willing to take that risk acceptance. Johnny Boy mentions in the chat room, death is bad for space industry public relations.
Tends to be.
I mean, it's going to be bad for anything, right? I mean, but, you're going to... I mean, not to sound cold-hearted, you're going to have death in all industry somehow.
People will die, absolutely. People died crossing the Atlantic. People died going across the United States.
And people die from eating too much French fries.
Absolutely.
Just have somebody go who wants to go.
I mean, on average, 2 people are killed every year by vending machines.
Honestly.
I had no idea.
Yep.
So I don't think we're promoting that people should die, but we need to be willing to accept that risk.
Now, I've seen people in the space industry basically say that safety should be cast asunder and that you're on your own with that. And I'm like not on board with any of that kind of attitude.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between a car seat belt, safety belt, and like a 5-point harness. Like, huge difference.
Yeah.
That really should be considered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also if you consider that, it works with it. So.
All right. That actually ends up, I think, in a pretty good wrap point for everything. So, I'll ask the original question again based on this conversation.
There are a million comments coming from all of the different chat rooms.
I know.
We see your comments from Twitch. We see your comments from YouTube. We see your comments in the regular chat room. This is why we have these conversations. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry we didn't get to more of them. Hopefully we hit.
We got to a good chunk of them. I'm looking at the chat room. I'm going to go around the table one more time asking the same question. And based on this conversation, if you could summarize your answer in like one sentence or less. I think you did a pretty good job in the beginning, but based on if anything changed, what is currently holding back humanity from our next cosmic steps?
No Bucks, no Buck Rogers, and no consistent goal.
What is currently holding humanity back from our next cosmic steps?
The will to do it.
The patch of dirt that they call home.
All right. And I would love to know what you think in our chat rooms. Leave your comments on YouTube, Facebook.
It's still it's fine.
For now.
Nobody comments there anyway, let's be fair.
Yeah. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or our brand new shiny website, TMRO.tv. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, comments from our last week's show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Science. It both draws us together and tears us apart, brings discoveries to cure us and threaten us. It is neither good nor evil. It is what we decide to make of it. There is so much more to learn, and we are curious. Together, let's explore the science of tomorrow.
And tomorrow continues. Now, before we get into comments from our last week's show, a huge shout out to all of the patrons of tomorrow. Nope, the citizens of tomorrow who have helped make this specific this episode happen. These are Escape Velocity citizens. I'm glad you enjoed that. But Daddy hasn't been on the show for a while, so he's a little rusty still.
Because Daddy still writes the script.
That's true. We also have our orbital citizens. These are people who've contributed $5 or more per episode or $15 per month on Maker Support, and our suborbital citizens at $2.50 per episode or $5 a month on makersupport.com. To find out how you can become a citizen tomorrow, head on over to TMRO.tv, and then there's a little Support Us tab on that area now. All right. Last week, we actually had Space Mike in-house, which was pretty awesome. And he had a great interview with Dr. Chris McKay from the NASA Ames Research Center on the search of life in our solar system. So, Capcom, what were some of the comments from that show?
As opposed to us saying, like, well, sure, I mean, let's search for life, but, we humans, we're just going to stay here. That's cool. The first comment comes off of YouTube from Lucas Goosen. I'm going to assume. Says, I would love it if you labeled celestial bodies images. That way, by watching tomorrow, I could probably start recognizing them on sight. It would make the show more educational for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a fascinating idea.
I don't have a problem with that.
Labeling celestial body images.
Yeah, like here's an image of Enceladus. So at the bottom you put Enceladus. Something like that. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually we could just create a library of images, although that would get boring really pretty quickly. But yeah, all right. I guess. I mean, But different angles of something, are you still good? Okay, that's fair. All
I
right.
mean, there's only so much data we have of like certain things, like
the planet Pluto,
Uranus and Neptune. We have we have Voyager 2's data set. That's it.
We should send a human out there to snap some pics.
Yeah,
some
that'll
selfies.
do it. That'll be cheap, won't it?
Some selfies.
Some selfies.
Yeah.
Well, I was introduced to Snapchat yesterday. Yeah, so. All right.
I took a picture with Uranus.
Next. After Dark is up next. It's up next. Next
Sorry.
up, Capcom.
Keep forgetting. Next comment also, actually, these all come off of YouTube. I'm just going to stop saying it. This one comes from Today's Star. Says, is it possible Thule is pronounced Thule?
What
I guess that would be aimed at me for last week talking about
looking at you.
The nickname for 2014 MU69, which I ended up explaining to everybody.
The insane, crazy naming convention, and then
we
were at Disney. It's a fun story. We were at Disney after the show, a little team building something, and we're like, all right, explain to us the episode number of our next upcoming show using that same exact convention.
Yeah,
and it was a good 5-10 minutes of conversation to try to figure out how to get that episode number correct.
It's difficult.
I could use the word tedious.
One would say tedious. Yes.
Yeah.
I must have been drinking because I do not remember this conversation.
Yeah, I think we should have been drinking.
But
just to kind of pronounce it, Thule. I think I said it incorrectly during the show. Thule. So, Thule. Ultima Thule.
Oh.
So, I think I mispronounced it. So
that's way better than MU69.
2014 MU69. So.
I get that there's a system, but just because you have a system doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, things we're discovering things at such a high rate that we can't keep up with naming them. So that's why they have these technical designations for such a long period of time.
That's fine, but the technical designation, that convention is crazy.
Okay, well, come up with a better one, and then go to the International Astronomical
Union. I feel
Union.
like 5 minutes of my time I can take less time to come up with a better convention than it takes to figure out the current convention.
Okay, well, in After Dark, I suggest that you get out a piece of paper and a crayon, and you work on it, and you try to figure out how to make that a new system, okay?
I do enjoy that. I think that is a fantastic idea. Like, all my R's have to be backwards.
Yes.
Like, drawing, like with my left hand drawing like this. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think if you put a little happy face at the bottom of it,
then
the International Astronomical Union will actually listen to you.
I think your convention is stupid. Here you go. It'll be like on a napkin with crayon. It's going to be brilliant.
We're going to have to lie to them when you submit it and say that you were 5, though.
Sure.
So
Thank
Mike
you, boys.
Brown, if you're listening, put a little happy face at the bottom. Maybe they'll make Pluto a planet again.
All right, next up, Capcom.
All right, comes from James Frondescius. Yes. Says, great interview, but failed to mention that others going to Europa, like ESA, European Space Agency, but did mention other quote-unquote private companies. And then a lovely link so that we would know we were wrong.
Yes.
I know. I mean, you in a show like this, especially when it's live, you're not going to hit every single we're not going to sit there and thank every single person.
Much like I called Heinz 57 a ketchup. I apologize for that.
Oh, yeah, I had that actually in the, that was a chat.
Yeah. Tomato paste?
This is like hashtag Carrie Ann apologizes for having not been on air for a couple of weeks. There's a lot of things I need to apologize for, so there's that. Just a blanket statement is probably best.
Yeah.
While Ben looks for that, the next comment actually kind of ties in with this a little bit, so we're just going to go ahead and throw them both together. From SP123, again, I keep saying 1,000, even though it's 100. It says, great interview. Would have liked to have known what his opinions were on the recent speculations of subsurface ocean on Ceres. Ceres? Great. Yeah. I feel the investigation into residual internal heating on the full range of solar system bodies should be a definite target for future exploration. I believe InSight will be trying this on Mars.
Yeah, they're going to have a heat flow probe that they're going to basically knock about 10 meters into the surface of Mars to see if there's any heat coming out of the interior of Mars to determine how geologically active or geologically dead Mars actually is.
When it ties back to, again, the reference about Chris McKay, one of the things that he's talked about quite a bit in terms of sending probes down, not such a big issue. The moment we start going properly underground, that's pretty much when we've completely contaminated a planet or a moon. The moment you start building underground habitats or you send probes into subsea oceans, you need to make sure that you're at COSPAR 4B. Like, you need to make sure that that probe is completely decontaminated so you're not taking microbes from Earth there.
Yeah, and that's going to be super important with Europa because we're going to have to drill through a lot of ice. And
even submarines on Titan and things like that. Like, there's all these different ideas that have been thrown around for years that people are working on. And, yeah, it's all about the sort of the COSPAR issues, the astrobiology aspects, and making sure it's not sort of forward contaminating.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. So,
well, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, I mean, like, first of all, if you're trying to prove that there's life somewhere, you don't want to bring life from Earth with you. Say, I found life, and then,
it's very familiar.
Oh. Bob, did you forget?
I feel like I've seen this before.
Bob, did you forget to wipe that down? Kind of problem.
They had that on the space station. Like, they forgot to wipe down a bunch of laptops, and everyone's freaking out, going, "We've found microbes on the outside of the space station," and it's because they didn't wipe down some laptops.
Yeah, it seems like every 18 to 24 months, a microbes on the space station, where did this come from story appears on a bunch of science websites, and then all of a sudden, within 48 hours, it's like, oh yeah, they're from inside. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
Next up.
And next one, I own Thrister 33T.
I own this street.
I own the street.
I own this street.
There you go.
Thank you for everyone helping.
That was a team effort to get there.
It really was.
Yeah.
It's a Ron Burgundy issue. You touched on the XMR's rover a little in this episode. Any chance we can get a space pod on it?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
To do that. So, a mission-specific space pod.
So,
yeah.
It'd be an evergreen space pod. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty neat. How neat is that?
It's pretty
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Your wish is as we command. Last comment comes from Ponderlust saying, I love this episode. McKay talks about stuff I think about often. I like that you've expanded your cast. Keep on epicking epically. Whew.
Wow.
That was really difficult to say.
That's the new slogan for the show.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because none of us can say it.
So
No,
keep on epicing epically.
Yeah, I appreciate your comment on the expanded cast.
So does Josh.
Yeah, I'm here.
Great stuff.
Also, apparently, you're hard to understand.
Yeah, people had some comments on the space pod. I am sorry, I am Australian. It's not going to change.
I think you were fine.
Yeah.
If you can't understand Josh, you can slow down your YouTube video. It'll be fine.
I'm sure YouTube can do the transcription thing as well. It understands what I'm saying. Yeah.
To be fair, I never understood what Ben's saying either, so it's okay.
Oh, that's true too.
Yeah. All right, so that pretty much does it for this show. I want to make sure I also give a thank you to our ground support citizens. These people have given us $1 or more on Patreon and $1 a month on makersupport.com. They, of course, get their name in the show. Access to exclusive citizen-only hangouts. Again, we had one this last week, so if you would like to become a citizen and like to know what it was that we talked about, feel free to do that. Early access to After Dark as soon as it's available on demand. Oh, my goodness. What more could you possibly ask for? How about next week?
We've got Patty Newman talking about the Newman Drive. That's going to be an ion engine that uses solid metal fuel.
Yes,
I'm excited
heard that right.
Oh yeah, that's going to be
in.
No, not smokes. It's metal.
Metal.
It's solid metal.
Yeah, and
metal.
ion.
Holy conflagration.
Patty's an awesome dude. That will be an amazing interview.
Nice.
So,
we're excited. All right, that is our show for this week. I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching a short After Dark, followed by Tomorrow Science up next.
The penguin on... Well, I don't know if I'm going to finish that sentence.
Yeah, probably not.
We're in After Dark now.
Okay, the penguin on meth thing that we were talking about. Where Stodge starts, flapping her hands with excitement.
Oh, she does. So, Mini Stoge
the Stojanovsky skip.
Yeah, so, Stoge, are you...
It's not really a defense. What are you going to say?
I just want to point
No, I don't do that.
I just want to point out that
You literally are on
Stone's
camera
standing
doing
right
it.
now. And, you both are sitting
you're
almost.
just.
I know, she's
That's-
almost as tall as me sitting.
So.
I mean, I can't help that.
So
See,
yeah,
I took
no.
this chair so that you wouldn't have to be uncomfortable, and then I realized it made you look
That's
really short.
fine. I am really short. That's okay.
No, you're taller than I am.
Hey, I mean, you cleared your computer screen, so that's good.
Wow.
Lisa is powered by
Sugar.
By sugar.
Bubbles.
Fairy bread.
Yeah.
Not
By
happiness. Don't
fairy
say
bread.
that
Yeah,
crap.
powered by fairy bread.
Nobody
I
knows
was
what
going to make
fairy bread
for the
is.
show today, but then
No,
we
and you forgot that too. Okay, cool.
Oh darn. Oh shucks. Dang it. Yeah, oh yeah.
She came on camera to defend herself about being a flapping penguin, and then she proceeded to be a flapping
Yeah,
penguin.
she's like, no, I feel like I need to be defending myself. I was like, you didn't. How?
I didn't even know that I do it.
She's powered by
What's this? Fairy bread.
The bird's amazing.
No, hang on. No, stay right there.
Hey, no
stay right there.
Oh,
Stay right
Kyle
there.
Sells, what is fairy bread? Oh my goodness.
wow.
Let me explain to you how you are not missing out on anything.
Right.
Google it and go, oh, that's disgusting. Why
Is
do
there-
people like that? And then wonder why she's doing what it is she's doing right now.
Is there such a thing as unicorn fairy bread?
I don't know, but I should make that happen.
So let's be fair. Ben gets obscenely excited about his crappy donut from his childhood.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's the only connection that I can make.
Yep.
But I don't like slap like this. I
feel like you should, Ben.
No, I don't.
I'm sorry.
No, what I do is far worse. What I do is I book a flight across the country.
I'm sorry, you don't flap like what?
Like this.
GIF. That's a GIF now.
All right. Does the
if
internet
that was
want me
my
to
hair.
hang out? You want me to do it to hang out? I'll just.
Gross. I'm disgusted.
Good times.
Dude, last week at Disney, we bought her a bubble wand.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's not. It's horrifying.
It's horrifying.
It never ends.
If you were in the Citizen Hangout, you would already know how amazing this bubble wand is because they spent like half the hangout.
Probably
You
had
keep using
PTSD
the
for
word.
it as well.
I was
don't think it means
coated
what
in
you think
soap.
it means. Scott Provost says there are more people in China learning English than there are people in the USA,
Whoa.
but they're definitely not learning it from this show.
No. That's very
Thanks,
true.
Josh.
Just,
Yeah.
in case that was the
Even
question.
Alexa has trouble understanding it.
No, Lisa does not have her mic on, and there's a very good reason for that. You do not need to hear anything she's saying.
Accurate.
Wow.
Very.
Wow.
Wow, well, we are violently against each other on this particular show. Like I'm just ripping into you for no reason whatsoever. You're ripping into her for like no reason whatsoever.
I'm channeling my Ben. I was doing it earlier too, by the way. And then second,
I do pick a target in each show, and I'm like, you are my prey now.
With that. I can do that.
I don't even want to be here right now with you.
But to be honest,
mother.
you know how difficult it is to like continue to fight my point during the roundtable. I was like, yeah, no, I give up about halfway through this. I don't even know what to do. This is terrible.
Skylab. Oops.
Skylab, I forgot. I did it again.
Okay, but to be fair, because after we said, like, basically, humans have no will to go out any further than we already have, and Skylab is just but I only feel comfortable putting my toe in the ocean. Like, that's what that felt like, so I don't feel like we wanted those two messages to come together.
Did you see Jonathan McDowell had his Skylab hat on?
No!
Yeah, on Twitter. It was amazing. So.
No, I don't think that's fair, though, because Skylab wasn't necessarily, we didn't think we were necessarily receding. Skylab was supposed to be kind of the launching post for us to create the shuttle Earth, the shuttle station Mars transit system. So it was supposed to be kind of that learning system for us to go further. So yeah, we came backwards a little bit in order to try to go forwards, but we came backwards and then just kept coming backwards. we didn't move.
It's kind of like the Australian space program.
So, Dwight, unfortunately, we can't Skype you in because we've got science coming up, which will be absorbing our Skype stuff. But, to that end, the Searching for Skylab is nearing completion, and it does definitely need your support. So, once again, if you support Searching for Skylab, and you're a patron of TMRO, and you just move your Patreon funds over to Searching for Skylab, and you do that, let me know, Benjamin at TMRO.tv. I'll make sure that you continue to get all your Patreon rewards for the month, so you're not giving anything up on TMRO, and you're helping to crowdfund the Searching for Skylab documentary, which I really want to get funded because I'm super excited for it. And it's not an obscene goal. It's like, what, 25,000 US or something like that? I mean, it's a really, really achievable goal. Yeah. Thank you, Vax. Yeah, there's the Kickstarter link. It definitely needs our help. So anything that we can do in the 11th hour, Carrie and I have contributed. Please, anything we can do to get this thing funded is about halfway there. About halfway there. So we got 6 more days to raise about $10,000 more. And that is super achievable if we decide that we want. We just have to decide we want to do it.
We choose to go to Kickstarter, not because they're easy, but because we want it funded.
I mean, to be fair, that is the argument that I just chose out of the hat to a certain extent, and
Yeah.
I fought for it as hard as I could. I have to have a differing opinion, right? Like,
No. That's my role. My role is to make sure that the conversation continues and to push back a little bit.
Yeah.
Musk sticks.
Because someone sent you a link to Musk sticks. Because
Sticks are amazing. Also, Jared used to do a space pod.
Actually, Musk sticks are not bad. I will admit to that.
Okay, this got awkward.
Musk-flavored lifesavers, though, not nearly as good.
All right, Jared.
You gotta do a space pod.
Yeah, don't eat that right before a space pod. Absolutely not.
Eat it during the space pod.
No.
I kind of think that would be amazing. Like, as you're doing the space pod, just take another bite of an ear.
Yeah, exactly, right?
they're very happy bunnies.
Yeah.
People are asking about Mars One, and I'll tackle that if they want.
Go.
Short story is, a journalist wrote an article that another journalist had written 3 years ago, pretty much rehashing the same stuff that's been refuted in the last 3 years, and people are claiming it's news. I spoke to the journalist, she interviews me, I'm in like the first part of the article. There's not really much to say.
So there's this. I got some messages on Reddit saying, "Hey, blah blah blah. I shouldn't be bringing Mars One up in the show. Don't give them any credence. They're a scam." And here's the thing: no, they're not. So you and I have had conversations about this. If Mars One is anything, it's not a scam. It's never going to Mars. It's never going to make it to Mars. It's never going to put humans on Mars. They have no idea what they're doing. But that doesn't make it a scam. It's a bunch of people who are passionate about going to space and going to Mars. That part is true. And are trying to find a path to do it. That part is true, too. They're not trying to scam people out of money. They're legitimately trying to make this happen. They won't make it happen. This is where you and I disagree.
This is where we disagree, yeah.
There's no way. There's just no possible way they have any idea what they're doing. It's
There's
like
definitely
misstep
no
after
way that you
misstep.
can land a 14-story building on a shoebox in the middle of the ocean.
And that is the key here. And that's
Like,
why I won't
No way.
Right.
On 4 tiny little legs and like 1 engine.
Right. And that's the thing is it's impossible until it isn't anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not going to not promote Mars One on the show. I'm not going to be like, oh, Mars One is banned. It is a thing that we're not going to talk about. It's, it's nothing like that. But it's also not something that I'm going to actively pursue on the show because until I see something that, to your point, like landing rockets is you can't do that. And then you start seeing some tests and you start seeing some attempts to get there and you start going, actually, I'm starting to see some progress here. Yeah. Now, once Mars One gets me to that, actually, I'm starting to see some progress here.
Also, to be fair, like, humans are too squishy to go into space. They definitely would explode.
That was a thing.
And real food in space, that's not a thing. Everything definitely has to be goo.
There was like a worry that you wouldn't be able to swallow.
And women, oh my God, menstruation in space? No.
It almost sounds like you guys have
the space
read
sharks
my
will
book.
come. They can smell it.
So, no, that's no joke. That was an actual thing.
NASA was very concerned about putting women in space.
They had to figure out, the engineers were like, are you going to have to take up like 700 sanitary napkins with you on the way up? And
700!
This was no joke. These were actual things
Because they were like,
saying.
because that's heavy, and we need to prepare for that kind of payload. Like, that's a lot we need because you're a woman. And so we need to be prepared for that. How many do you think you need? Is 700 enough?
Also, here's a makeup kit.
Oh, yeah. Definitely make sure you look pretty in space.
So, again, there's mountains of questions in here about MIT proving we'd suffocate. Like, all of this stuff's been dealt with. Like, this is all publicly available, but it hasn't necessarily had the same press as, oh my God, Mars One's a scam. Like, that grabs headlines.
So, and I think that's the key. That's the key thing here is Mars One is not a scam. I don't think they will accomplish their goals, but
Sure, but that
I
doesn't make it a
won't.
scam.
But as A, that doesn't make it a scam, and B, I am eager to be proven wrong on that as well. I'm not anti-Mars One. Yeah. I would like to see them actually make some real progress towards reaching those goals, and I just don't see any of that. So I based on the data that I have, I don't think they're going to make it, but I also don't think that they're trying to scam anyone out of money.
Yeah.
So
and I don't think SLS is ever going to fly, but I'd love to be proven wrong because Stodge and I.
Yeah, no, we're all just going to agree with you there.
Yeah, but like we have a bet that it'll fly. You reckon it'll fly once?
Yeah,
I don't think it'll ever fly.
Fly one camp. Boom.
And whoever wins that has to buy the other person a ticket on BFR. Like, that's the deal.
Your bet is substantially larger than mine with Dave Maston. Mine was like $1 bet that's grown into a steak dinner without Dave Maston knowing.
Similar in history called the Spruce Goose, by the way.
Oh yeah, Spruce Goose, like it'll never fly. So there are many examples. Yeah, there are many examples throughout human history where people thought it was a scam or something else like that. So, and you know, people there were people who didn't necessarily take issue to you being on the show, but took issue to giving credence to Mars One. Yeah. And I don't think that's fair because I don't think that the articles that were written about Mars One are. I think they're deceiving. I think is the word I want to use. I think it's headline grabbing. They're almost scamming people more than Mars One is scamming people.
I have to be careful about what I say here.
Yeah, you know, you should probably opt not to. But I don't agree with the article. I don't agree with those articles fundamentally. I think that data was just attention grabbing. They were just trying to grab people and viewers. But I also don't think that until I see some evidence that Mars One is making forward progress, which I'm eager to see. Right? Maybe they're doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that I can't see.
So am I.
Yeah. Here as a space pod, we need to prepare for science.
And it's a complicated space pod too.
Great. So let's do that.
Cool.
All right. Let me make sure that this isn't going to start buzzing in my ear real quick.
I think once I move, that should help.
It's red, but I'll risk it. But I don't really actually need it.
Yeah.
So.
Dwight is requesting you mention the Tomorrow upgrade offer on air.
I don't understand the question.
For a Kickstarter?
We just did that.
There's a Tomorrow upgrade offer? I don't know.
No, what we just talked about. Yeah.
Better.
You can have mine, Lisa. You're main host, right?
No, Jade is.
Oh, Jade is main host. Then Jade should be on one. Oh, actually, yes, you should be on one. I feel like I need to compensate like this for future Mohawk.
I feel like that's too high.
Future Mohawk. Look up.
Even with regular Mohawk, it's like you're way overestimated.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, right now it's just a Warhawk. So.
Oh, I hate this tripod so much. I know. I'm off mic. I'm transitioning one over to Lisa.
Whenever you're ready, Jared.
Looks scared.
More perturbed.
Oh.
Okay, I'm taking this out for now.
Duck down a little bit.
Oh! God, that just hurts. This?
Yes. Oh, push it just. It was in the shot.
Okay, gotcha. I couldn't see, so I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I was so confused. It's not like I could hear you anyhow. So, come on!
Well, when I push the button, everybody else can. I don't know what your problem is.
Fine,
Oh, wait, you
I'm
took
calm.
your ears
I'm
out.
Calm. I'm calm. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. All right, let's do this. All right, that was about 1/3 of pugs. So, all right. Oh, that felt nice. Did you hear that all the way over there? Yeah. So should I do it one more? Should I do the other side?
Get this done with, please.
Shut up, everybody. Be quiet. All right. We good? All right. In a galaxy quite far away from us, an incredible discovery has been made. And it's not exactly what's in the galaxy, but what's lacking in the galaxy itself. And this is your space pod.
Hold. Benny's running by camera and making Jared shake.
Sake, I had it. So. All right. Also, that was definitely not the words I wrote on the script, but it was words, so. Huh? This? Yeah, actually, this is like for the dark matter world, this is a huge confirmation. This is almost like catching the signal of the gravity wave for the first time. So, yeah. All right, let's do it. In a galaxy far away, an incredible discovery has been made. And it's not what's in the galaxy that's surprising to us, but what actually isn't in that galaxy. And this is your space pod for April 5th, 2018. All right. I really like talking about dark matter, and I really appreciate the enthusiasm the community of tomorrow has whenever we do a pod or a story about it during our live show. Now, this pod, of course, will be about a story involving dark matter, or more specifically, the lack of it. And us astronomers, we're scratching our heads, but we're also not sweating the details on this one. In fact, we're relishing in the lack of it. Good? Okay, I'm gonna move ahead. One more time? Shoot. Okay. I really like talking about dark matter. It's a fascinating subject to me, and I really appreciate the enthusiasm the community of tomorrow has commenting on our space pods or our news stories about dark matter. And this space pod, yep, we're going to be talking about dark matter, or specifically the lack thereof, which is making us scientists kind of scratch our heads. But we're not sweating about the lack of dark matter. We're actually relishing in it. Good? Good to move on? Okay. Sweet. There's a loud noise. So from next door, should I bang on the wall? Okay, all right. Huh?
Is that the intro or the story?
Intro. Still intro. Now I'm going to do the story. So. I'm talking about this galaxy here, lovingly named NGC 1052-DF2. If it looks a bit anemic to be called a galaxy, you're not wrong. It's the same volume and overall size of the Milky Way, but has 200 times fewer stars. And those stars are all clumped together at very far distances of, I'm going to redo that. So, sorry guys. I'm talking about this galaxy here, lovingly named NGC 1052-DF2. If it looks a bit anemic to be called a galaxy, you're not wrong. It's the same volume and overall size of the Milky Way, but has 200 times fewer stars. And those stars are all clumped together at very far distances apart from each other. So diffuse is this galaxy that those blobs behind it in this image from Hubble are other more distant galaxies. Now, this galaxy has a lot to say about dark matter, but how do we detect something that doesn't emit electromagnetic radiation, also what we call light? This is something that's been asked in the comments of SpacePods about dark matter before, so let's dive a bit into our detection and how we view dark matter. We primarily use two techniques to determine where dark matter is. Gravitational lensing is one. Now, dark matter imports a gravitational force, which means it can bend light. And we can see that gravitational pull in the bending of light from distant objects like galaxies, especially light coming through large-scale galaxy clusters. And the bending is far beyond the mass of the visible matter. Now, another way that we look at how fast... Oh, sorry.
You said imports, not imparts.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and go back and redo that?
Yeah.
Okay. We primarily use two techniques to determine where dark matter is. Gravitational lensing is one that we use. Dark matter imparts a gravitational force, which means it can bend light. And we can see that gravitational pull in the bending of light from distant objects like galaxies, especially light coming through large-scale galaxy clusters. And the bending is far beyond the mass of the visible matter. Now, another way is that we look at how fast objects are moving inside of a galaxy, or how fast whole individual galaxies are moving in huge galaxy clusters. And we find that galaxies themselves and galaxies in clusters are moving too fast to account for just visible matter. The faster something moves, especially in large-scale structures, the more mass is needed to keep it all together. Now, many alternate theories have been hypothesized, such as modified Newtonian gravity, and they work at local levels, but scale them up to either macroscopic or scale them down to quantum levels, and they completely fall apart. They're like Swiss cheese. They're delicious, but they're full of holes, and science isn't a fan of holes. Now, Peter Van Dokkum, a professor of astronomy and physics at Yale, led a team that studied NGC 152-DF2. They observed this extremely diffuse galaxy with the Dragonfly telephoto array in New Mexico as a part of a survey to find diffuse galaxies that astronomers may have missed. Eventually, the Keck and Gemini telescopes in Hawaii and Hubble in orbit were also brought on board to have a look. Now, researchers measured the speed of the clusters of the stars, and they found that they were moving at an extremely slow pace. From this orbital velocity data, they determined that the mass of the galaxy is startling to us. It contains little, if any, dark matter, roughly 1/400th of what would be expected of a galaxy of similar size. Now, you'll note earlier I said that science doesn't like holes, and you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, Jared, I know you and the astronomical community at large think that dark matter actually does exist, but isn't this a pretty gaping hole? Well, surprisingly, it isn't. If anything, it's a data point that strengthens the argument for the existence of dark matter. Honest to goodness, the formation of this galaxy without dark matter is a massive mystery, and time has been granted on the Hubble Space Telescope to further assist the studies. Now, some ideas include that it may have sprung from a cloud of gas that didn't have much dark matter around it. But how does a lack of dark matter actually solidify the argument for dark matter itself? Well, those modified theories of gravity, when you apply them at galactic levels, they result in galaxies all behaving uniformly. But finding a galaxy with the behavior of NGC 1052-DF2, which is completely out of line, doesn't add up. It violates the expected behaviors predicted under these modified theories of gravity. All right, good to come back? All right, cool. Finding a galaxy acting weirdly in a non-uniform universe lines up exactly with what we'd expect if a mysterious force was actually at play. Of course, there will be galaxies devoid of it, and there will be galaxies with it as well. And the proof, well, it's in the pudding. So, for now, dark matter, it lives to see another day. Now, if you like this space pod, don't forget to tune in to our episode that we had this week, 11.13. And we were talking about what exactly is holding humanity back from returning ourselves to the cosmos and beyond where we have gone. So, if you like us, don't forget to subscribe to us and visit our Patreon and Maker support that we have in the comments below. So, I screwed that up, so... Oh, right, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I'll make sure to... I'm going to go back and redo that completely, so... Okay. Finding a galaxy acting weirdly in a non-uniform universe is exactly what we would expect to see if there was some kind of mysterious force at play. Of course there'd be galaxies devoid of it, and this is the proof in the pudding. So for now, dark matter lives to see the light of another day. Now, if you like this space pod, don't forget to tune in to Orbit 11.13, our previous episode, where we talk about what exactly is holding humanity back from returning to the cosmos. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us. And also, if you like this and our show, you can help crowdfund the shows of tomorrow by heading on over to patreon.com/TMRO or makersupport.com/TMRO. So, until the next space pod, keep exploring. How's that? Good? I'll take it. So. Whew. More cookies.
Today news we have, and then there's you, and then
I'm sweating a bit.
And should I mention that you're the one conducting the interview?
If you want, it's up to you.
Is the interview Skype or?
It is Skype. Dada, I will send you the Skype username. Just give me 1 second.
So the only thing, though, is the intro to the escape velocity citizens. What's a good way?
Oh, sorry, it's not written as a script. Before we start, we just like to give a huge shout out to our citizens of tomorrow.
Cool.
Something like that. And you don't have to read all the rewards. Maybe just like pick, I don't know, 2 that you like.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise you'll be talking for like 30
seconds.
seconds.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You guys need anybody need a microphone?
I do.
Okay, you may have my microphone.
Thank you.
How'd that go? Good?
We'd like to give a shout out to our
citizens of tomorrow.
Citizens of tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
I'm always so pretty with my microphones.
What?
I need another thing to stand on. I'm too short. I don't like how it looks. Is this this one? Okay.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Man, I really hope I don't cough on screen. I'm so scared.
Do you have do you need a cough drop? I have some.
Oh, I should have
Oh,
brought
no, it's
some.
fine. I've got water. I just need a cup.
My brownies are healing. I'm just kidding. There. I made brownies,
Do they
by
have
the way,
wellness
everyone.
formula in them?
Yeah, I know, and I never bake, but
I hope this
they
is
are gluten free. Actually, I was walking past this. Actually, am I on air? Never mind. I was like, wait.
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay, but they're next to the cookies. Actually, this is true, but you know.
There's cookies too.
Yeah, there's cookies.
There's Easter bunny cookies over by the kitchen.
Next to the
thing.
sink?
The sink,
There's a
yeah.
kitchen?
I mean sink.
Oh, that.
I call it the kitchen. It's like that, yeah.
The food
Yeah.
closet.
Yes.
All right, 15 minutes out.
Yay! I'm like rearranging all my pictures.
Hello and
I put it in the host room and chat. We need a TV in the observation lounge. Oh, no one can hear me.
I hear you. So many pictures. Dude, mine is too. It's
Keep sleeping.
It's
wrong.
a Skype interview.
I forced
relearn how to
myself to lay
sleep.
on my back. You should get one of those headache pillows.
That's a thing?
They're so good. They're on Amazon. They have like a big hole cut out in the middle. And it's kind of weird to get used to, but by the time you actually get used to it,
Getting ahead of myself.
It aligns your spine and your shoulders.
Yeah. Down.
Oh, thanks, Citizen 23700. Oh, I didn't realize.
I drive.
Hi.
It's nice to see the fuzzy hawk make a comeback.
I love it.
It's like peach
makes
fuzz.
me happy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
it
little bit.
looks really soft.
I'm gonna like shave the sides every other week. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how I'm gonna do it, just to
Yeah.
make sure
Okay.
that the arrow on the edge grows in.
Mm-hmm.
I need to
Do
identify.
you use like a ruler and then shave?
No, I do it all by hand.
I need to identify microphones. Lisa, are you on?
I'm on Benjamin.
Thank you.
I'm talking about stuff, and this is my
Good.
microphone that I'm on.
Good. Who has Carrie Ann's
You're like
mic?
an
Extra layer. to
Man
insulate
bear.
me. So,
Man bear.
yeah, it's not
Jade, can you speak, please?
Hi.
Are you on Carrie Ann's microphone?
Man bear. No, I don't think I am. Well, I could check.
You are.
Okay, I am.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. I just need to identify. And then Athena, you have Jared's microphone, correct?
Yes. Hello.
All right. So we have Nova on guest microphone because we don't need it. And guest. Okay. Cool.
I try to keep these like so short and they're so long.
You got this.
I always make them so long. It's like annoying.
Oh my god, you were kidding.
Details.
All right, we are 12 minutes out.
They're so cute. I don't want to eat them.
Jade.
I want a flower.
It's so good.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll get it. It's all good.
Yeah.
That was my fault for moving away from it. So.
Hi, Ben.
Hello.
See this picture.
Okay, my box.
Call the guest, Otter. You want me to sit in the thing? Because I'm like super short, so there's that.
I don't actually know.
Oh.
Can I have a sip? Oh, thank you. Let's take normal water.
Took my snack there. So.
Wait, really? I can take a Perrier? Or is this yours? Are you sure?
I held the space to myself.
Yeah.
Oh, you. A Perrier and my firstborn. Hey, listen to this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Jay.
I was so scared of being thirsty.
Now you won't be.
It's such an uncomfortable feeling. And then your mouth gets all like... and then you can hear the mouth noises. It's bad. I'm going to sound like
Well, your reason it's going to be fun.
Uncle Rick.
Yeah. Hello?